I found a diary 12 months ago that was written in 2009. I don't usually have diaries, I don't write goals, but I had this one goal in this diary, which was build a boat that keeps kids in sailing.
Yeah, for me, I started in the Optimist at just a volunteer-run family kind of little club. Always had a bit of a competitive drive, I think, in everything I did with sailing.
Sailing started for me in the Cotswolds at Bowmore Sailing Club and an Optimist. A couple of the guys at the club said, to my mum, your kid's quite good at this, maybe you should take him down to zone squad. And we put the Oppie on the roof of the Nissan Micro and headed down. Neither of us had a clue what we were doing, but we got there.
I was born in July and my grandfather owned a 30-foot non-such. So right after I was born, I was pretty much put on the boat and started sailing. My whole family sailed. I was into the Optimist Learn to Sail program, then the Optimist Learn to Race, then the Optimist Racing program. And I kind of always knew that I wanted to sail faster boats.
So sailing started for me when I was very young, like I think 3 years old. And it started on a little lake, Lake Iseo in Italy. And I started with not Optimist, very innovative boats like Openbeak, RS Tira.
I started a little bit with a little bit of Opti sailing in my hometown on a lake. And then quickly progressed into some 29er sailing. The speed and the technical aspects of sailing was something that I think I fell in love with.
Got the opportunity to start sailing in the 29er. And a couple of years ago, I was bouncing around partners and had a good friend, Madeline Gillis, from Nova Scotia. And so Madeline and I heard about the Nacro 17, which is a fully foiling catamaran. So we both jumped in and started sailing the Nacro a bit, and we were like, oh, this is kind of fun.
So I grew up sailing in Lymington, so I was brought into sailing through my family, kind of lived and breathed it. And I grew up sailing in Optimists and Contessas and kind of came through the traditional Optimist and 29er pathway. But yeah, I just love sailing in Lymington and it's just fantastic there.
While I was still in the Optimist, my dad heard about the WASP coming to fruition through AMAC, and he'd raced AMAC a few decades before in some moths, but he was keen to get back into the sailing himself, so he bought a boat, and from there I just sailed it as much as I could all throughout my junior and youth sailing. So yeah, during my time in the Optimist, while I sailed the 420 and through to the 49er, the Olympic class. So the WASP has been a pretty critical part of my formation as a sailor throughout the years.
So I saw a few really close friends doing it and they looked like they were having a great time. So I tried out the class boat and I was completely hooked, and ever since I've just loved foiling and sailing as many foiling boats as possible.
I tried the moth sailing when I was 11, but it was a too complicated boat for me. So I just wanted a boat to enjoy sailing, just sailing, and don't do so much boat works. And the WASP for me was ideal. I was sailing 29er, and when it was possible, sailing WASP. I loved the feeling of the speed, and also it was a good training for the sensation on the next foiling boats, because now I'm sailing a NACRA 17, so it was a good platform to train on.
I discovered the WASP online. I saw a video of it and I got hooked on what it looked like and the speed that people were doing on it, and just the accessibility of it made it a really good pathway for me into foiling boats and fast sailing.
I remember building the WASP in our front yard with my dad late nights in 2016, so quite a long way back now. One of the first boats that was around, and yeah, from there just had an innate curiosity about foiling and that boat. And the first time I stepped on, you know, couldn't get the thing foiling. I was just a little 40-kilogram opti kid, but you know, I started to learn my way around the boat and get used to the feelings, and from there just always spent as many hours as I could on the water on the WASP. As soon as I'd finished training in the opti, I'd rig up the WASP and go sailing, or you know, I always balanced out any other competitive sailing I was doing with the WASP.
So the WASP was the first foiling boat that I'd ever sailed, so it was all about learning how to foil and you know, getting the feel for things. I think it set me up really well for the AC40 because, well, I've sailed the WASP and Moth alongside each other, and I think the feel is quite similar. So I think it really set me up very well for the Youth and Women's America's Cup. And I also did sail GP Inspire and won that in San Francisco, so I kind of definitely come through a proper pathway, you know, to be where I am here. And I think we see quite a lot of WASP sailors around the boat park here, and I think it's really cool because we've all kind of come through together.
I could train a lot, doing a lot of hours. It was also a safe boat for me. So I could also go out alone on the lake, and I didn't have to tell anyone I was sailing because WASP was super safe. Also, when I started racing, the fleet was very high level. And the fact that all the WASP are the same, it's, I think, a good thing because you can compare your abilities to the others, so it was perfect for me.
I was in that transition from laser radial to laser standard, which is from the 6 to the 7 now. And I was kind of falling out of love with the laser sailing, and you know, if it wasn't for finding the WASP class, I think I probably would have stopped sailing, and it just gave me the love for sailing again. The fastness, you know, it was completely different for anybody that sailed a foiling boat. You get in it and it's like, wow, this is the best thing ever. And that was super special about the WASP class, and it's just such tight racing in that boat that everybody's got on a level playing field in equal boats, that yeah, it's about how well you sail the boat at the end of the day, and they're wicked boats to sail.
I started trying to get into WASP sailing so I could prepare to go to one of these SailGP WASP Inspire events. And I'd applied for a couple events, but because of some logistical things, and then because of COVID, I couldn't go to a couple of the events. But I finally got the opportunity to go to the season finale in season 2 in San Francisco. You know, I didn't get the opportunity to go on the WASP, but I said, look, if I can't go on the WASP, then I want to go there and I want to be at that event. I'd already planned to do a WASP event in San Francisco the week before. I was able to get an opportunity to work with the Inspire Careers program, and through that I was working with the onboard communications team. So we got to go on the F50s every single day and test out all the onboard comms and put the helmets on and just get so involved with the event. It was so cool. Like, I remember just looking around, it was the first couple of seconds on an F50 and I was like, wow, this is nuts.
Over the years, I've had lots of opportunities through the WASP class to go and compete on the world stage, and I think the friendships I've formed over those years, whether it be through SailGP Inspire or just other regattas like the WASP Games, I've made so many friendships with people from other countries. I'd say I'm honestly amazed at the amount of people here that I know through the WASP class. You know, guys like Elliot and Paul and Hattie, it's honestly incredible that we've all ended up here in this position, this fortunate opportunity to go out and race these AC40s in the Youth America's Cup.
I think the WASP really brings a lot of people back together, you know, friends from the junior and youth pathways. I think, you know, to see them at all of the different WASP events and now be here in Barcelona competing on the same racetrack is just something that's really cool, and it's awesome to be part of the first Women's America's Cup team alongside the likes of Hannah Mills, Sass Clark. It's just wicked to be sailing, you know, with people that you've really looked up to for your whole sailing career, and also to be part of the Youth America's Cup team.
Helming the AC40 is really magical. It's a beautiful boat, the AC40, and yeah, the feeling on the boat is, I don't know how to explain it, but it's a complicated boat, but when you start foiling, it's super easy, especially for me, for the ones that already did some foiling boats like WASP, Nacron 17.
The WASP journey's been amazing for me. I've got so many good friends now from it. There was such a tight-knit group of us that were sailing the boats together and pushing the UK circuit pretty hard, and we really grew that UK circuit to be what it is today, and it's something super special, and it's been a pleasure to be a part of that class and race against some awesome talent, you know, the likes of Ross Banham, Sam Whaley, Hattie here as well, who's part of this team, and yeah, it's just a great pathway.
Yeah, I think the WASP class itself is something really special and has been something really, really special for me. I mean, I've discovered and I've been in quite a few different classes in Sweden, some Olympic classes for short periods of time, but I think hands down the international WASP class is one of the best in the world in all the classes that I've been in. I mean, people are super friendly, everyone helps out, and the people around you just make all events and everything you do really worthwhile.
You know, Jaime and Elliot, I met them for the first time at the SOAR GP final in San Francisco, the first one that went down in 2022, and there's a great shot of Jaime and I foiling downwind with the F50s, and at the time the man in charge, Tom Herbert Evans, wasn't too pleased with that, but that's a memory that I hold dearly, and to come here 2.5 years later and get a similar photo of us lined up in the AC40s was something really special.
Hi, my name is Hanno and I'm from Sweden.
My name is Jacob and I'm from Norway.
I'm Axel from Norway.
Hey, my name is Anders and I'm from Norway.
My name is Matt Sebrin. I'm from Norway. I'm the coach of these guys.
I've hung out quite a bit with a Norwegian team, the Norwegian WASP team, and they're really, I think, one of the crucial parts that got me to where I am today. They helped me develop and progress through being super friendly and really accepting me into their team despite me being a Swede. So I'm super thankful to have met a lot of Norwegian WASP sailors. I've been super fortunate in hanging out with them. And also with the Swedish WASP team that's currently growing really strong the past few years. That's also a really friendly community. That's also a very special part of my journey.
To sail with Matt Beck and to be sailing with him all summer, you know, we've come through Optimist and we went slightly different ways in our youth classes. He went lasers, I went 29ers, but it's cool that the WASP brings everyone back together, and to be sailing is on opposite sides with both trimmers. It's really, really cool to be sailing with friends, really.
The America's Cup's been the dream for me since I started sailing really in around 2013, watching the America's Cup in San Francisco and seeing those huge AC-72s falling around the bay. Every decision I've made in my sailing career has been with the goal and the dream of the America's Cup in mind. So, you know, foiling was a new thing when in 2013, when those boats were around, and then getting access to a WASP in 2016, I just made the most of that opportunity and learn as much as I could. And I think I'm pretty thankful that that opportunity was there, and now I'm here racing the AC40s. It's an incredible thing.
When me and Matt were competing in Lake Garda, it was just so cool to be like tuning up against him, and now you know, to come from Lake Garda, kind of half the home of the WASP. I know it's really Melbourne, but it's, you know, Mel Chesney and Foiling Week, and, you know, sailing in those kind of like regattas, and now being opposite in an AC40 is really special. You know, we've kind of like been along this like pathway together, and I think that's just really cool.
Probably the most exciting part of my sailing career, getting to sail in these amazing machines you see behind me. They're incredible boats, you know, 4 people sailing on them at a time, up to 50 knots in some big breeze, and up to 3 times the wind speed in the light stuff. And they're just incredible boats to sail. You know, the depth of talent that we've seen in both the youth and the women's racing has been incredible, and it's been an absolute pleasure to be a part of.
The first time I got the opportunity to go on the boat was in Sydney, when we were testing the T-foils, and there's someone there who'd flown in the night before, and they were super jet lagged and whatnot. So, you know, sailing around the Sydney harbour, and there were boats everywhere, and so I was able to just get thrown in and kind of help out, and it was just so cool to be kind of work up to that opportunity, and then finally be able to get an opportunity to go on the boat and sail with the team and provide value, not only on the shore team, but also as an athlete and as a sailor on the team. That's kind of the ultimate goal, is to be an athlete on the team and be a sailor and be part of the sailing team.
If I have to be honest, I don't realize it at the moment. I just want to sail the best that I can, but when I see all the people cheering for us on shore and watching us, I feel like it's a very special event, and I hope in the future there will be more to come.
Sailing the boat feels absolutely crazy. You're sitting in a car seat essentially, holding what feels like a Formula 1 wheel, and you're going at over 40 knots, and you gotta think quick and be good with your communication. But I also think it's a lot about feeling, and I mean, thinking back to the WASP, I think just the feeling of when you gotta bear away to build some power, or how you handle the boat in critical situations, that's really where the WASP has taught me a lot, and the whole team too.
The WASP has been a great platform to transition into faster, more exciting boats like the AC40. You know, the physics are all the same when it comes to the foiling stuff, and the fast boat racing is very similar. You know, being able to manoeuvre well and handle the boat and make decisions quickly, and you know, it all translates from these foiling boats.
It was really only when I finished my youth stuff and I was at uni that I decided to jump into a WASP. And I think the WASP racing provides quite a different style. You know, foiling racing is a bit different to traditional displacement, slower boat racing, and I think it's just awesome to do both if possible. Personally, I just loved how fun it was and how quick the racing was and quick thinking, and that all my friends were doing it. In Australia, it was just awesome, you know. We had 70, 80 boats coming off a line, and even in Quiberon at the Europeans last year, we did one start and it was like over 100 boats on a reaching start, and that was just wicked. And you know, you're coming off the line and you're hiking and your shoulders are almost on the boat above swing bar. So I think that style of racing and type of racing you can't really get anywhere else.
Last year in summer, Artemis Technologies and the Swedish Challenge bought, I think, a total of 8 WASPs. The whole idea was to have a really good platform for teaching and fast tracking the learning curve into foiling boats for everyone. Of course, I was very fortunate to have sailed the WASPs quite a few years before, prior to the tryouts and to using the Artemis WASPs. But yeah, it was really just the perfect platform, I think, for creating learning experiences for the whole team. A lot of racing leading up to the team selections, and I think that's also where the WASP proved really good value. Good racing and good training with a lot of boats.
We see a lot of WASP sailors here, and I think it's a proven pathway, and I'm really excited to see future sailors come through and follow in our footsteps.
You still have all the intricacies of sailing any foiling boat. It's just on a much simpler platform and a lot easier to get your hands on and maintain. So the WASP is a very unique class in that it serves properly as a pathway between displacement boats or Olympic boats through towards foiling and the America's Cup kind of route now.
I think WASP is a good boat for starting this pathway of the AC40 or America's Cup in general, or also other Olympic foiling boats, because you are able to train your abilities on the boat, a lot of hours on the water, and a high level fleet, so you don't find it everywhere, It's super fun. It feels like you are in a big family. Everybody, I remember, was ready to help you if you have had any problems, so it was very nice.
It's an integral link for people of all ages between traditional sailing and the pinnacle that we see right now with the America's Cup.
Regardless of a new rudder or not, I would have been really keen to get back into it. But the fact that we're having a new rudder and its technical aspect, which is one of my favorite parts in sailing, I think it's going to open up the game a bit more. It's going to be providing new challenges and also new ways of sailing the boat. And yeah, I'll be back for sure.
I think it's a really exciting development for the class. It might mean that winter sessions in Weymouth might be a bit more bearable in the cold water. This will be a very good development for the class.
I mean, I certainly wouldn't write off coming back to the WASP class if it keeps growing as it is. It is probably the best one-design foiling boat at the moment. So yeah, it'd be cool to see where the WASP ends up in the future.
My WASP is in Lake Iseo at the moment. He's always ready to be on the water, I just need 20 minutes to rig it.
I've seen the notice for the update to the rudder, and I would love to sail WASP with the new rudder and see the new performance capabilities of the boat. Yeah, I mean, my arm's a bit of rubber, it could be twisted and I could end up back in a WASP.